It really is, isn't it? The single greatest aviation mystery, certainly of our time.
Without a doubt.
March 8, 2014. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, Kuala Lumpur to Beijing.
And then nothing. 239 people just vanished.
And here we are, a decade on, and the story is still so incredibly split. You've got the official view, tragic, intentional crash deep in the southern Indian Ocean.
Based on the satellite data.
But then there's this other powerful narrative, isn't there? Something deliberate, sinister even, orchestration.
State actors, secret agendas. Yeah, those theories persist.
Why? That's the big question. After all the searches, the money spent, the international effort, why do so many people reject the idea of just an accident or even a pilot acting alone?
It's fascinating, isn't it? The pull of the alternative.
Why does the idea of, say, a shoot down or this plot involving Diego Garcia, why does it still have such a grip?
Well, that's what we're diving into.
Welcome to Conspiracy Deconstructed.
Glad to be here.
So today, our mission is, well, it's to really get into the source material on MH370. We're looking at the official reports, sure, but also the independent analyses, the psychology behind it, the narratives pushed by,
Focusing on those core theories.
Yeah.
Hijack, shoot down, or this idea it was flown somewhere secretly, like Diego Garcia.
Exactly. The goal is to try and separate what we actually know from, well, the speculation. Trying to give you, the listener, a clearer picture of what might have happened after it dropped off radar.
And it's crucial to remember, the hard facts, the verifiable stuff, it's actually a very small pool.
Right. Limited window.
Very limited. A bit of military radar, those satellite handshakes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it after it went dark.
So everything else is trying to fill this enormous blank space.
Precisely. Some theories are quite elegant attempts to do just that. It's a cold, technical mystery in many ways.
Okay, let's kick off with the conspiracy theory itself. The core idea, the really compelling, unvarnished version that keeps this thing alive globally.
Let's lay it out.
The narrative is, MH370 wasn't random. It wasn't some system failure or pilot incapacitation.
No, the theory posits it was calculated.
Yeah.
A mass murder event.
Orchestrated by someone highly skilled, an expert pilot, maybe? Or potentially a state actor.
With one single goal. Make that Boeing 777 disappear completely, without a trace.
Executed perfectly,
Right.
surgically.
That's the core belief. It dismisses randomness, dismisses simple technical failure.
Right. It assumes everything, the turn back, those hours of flight into nowhere, the final descent, it was all planned, all controlled.
To ensure concealment, intentionality is the absolute key here.
And the goal, according to these theories, it wasn't just about destruction.
No, it was about seizure, taking something.
So the plane deliberately diverted, flown for hours way out into the remotest part of the Indian Ocean.
Or, and this is the more explosive version.
Rerouted entirely to a secret location.
Yes. And the why involves grabbing sensitive cargo, things like military tech, advanced microchips maybe.
Or neutralizing certain passengers, people carrying valuable knowledge, intellectual property, an espionage plot disguised as a plane crash.
And the destination that always comes up in this context,
Diego Garcia.
the U.S. military base,
Whoa.
highly classified, right in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, that theory popped up early. The idea that, maybe U.S. forces commandeered it somehow, or it was diverted remotely.
To stop sensitive technology from getting to China, turning a tragedy into, well, a covert op, an act of undeclared war almost.
Okay, so to really get why these theories took hold, we need to go back. Back to the beginning, to that massive information vacuum.
Absolutely. The context is everything.
It disappeared suddenly, right? Over the South China Sea, 1:21 a.m. local time.
Poof. Just gone from civilian radar.
And crucially, no distress call, no warning, nothing.
That silence, that immediate, baffling lack of information that created the void.
And nature abhors a vacuum, right? Especially the human mind.
Exactly. Psychologist Rob Brotherton talks about this. When you have a huge, terrifying event like this and no clear answers, people need an explanation. Conspiracy theories offer simple, often intentional explanations. They rush right in.
And the initial official response didn't exactly help build confidence, did it?
Oh, it was messy, contradictory. The initial search efforts.
Focused entirely on the South China Sea.
For weeks. And then remember, the JCC, the Coordination Center, announced in May 2014, essentially, oops, it's not here.
Yeah, that was huge. That announcement that it wasn't in that initial zone, that must have just shattered public trust.
It absolutely fueled cynicism. People started thinking, What else aren't they telling us?
And you had officials giving out confusing information, too. Cass Sunstein at Harvard pointed this out.
He noted that the conflicting signals from Malaysian authorities really primed the public to look for alternative answers. Horrific events make people scared, and they look for a target, a cause.
The shifting story gave them plenty of reasons to suspect a cover-up.
And the biggest shift, the one that really cemented the distrust for many, was geographical.
Moving the search area entirely.
Dramatically. Based on that complex Inmarsat analysis, those automated satellite handshakes.
They concluded it turned west, flew back over Malaysia across the Malacca Strait.
And then south, deep into the southern Indian Ocean, the SIO.
That leap from the South China Sea to, 1,600 miles off Western Australia? That's a massive change.
Huge. And with no large wreckage found initially, it just locked in that deep distrust of the official story for a lot of people.
But here's the twist. Even the official investigation, before the conspiracy theories really went wild, sort of laid the groundwork for intentionality.
It did, in a crucial way.
They concluded the turnback wasn't technical failure.
Right. The final safety report stated that the turn, that deviation right after waypoint IGARI, it happened under manual control.
Not autopilot.
Not autopilot. Someone was actively flying the plane off its designated path.
So right there, the official report itself makes a simple mechanical failure difficult to sustain as the sole cause.
Exactly. It opens the door wide for pilot action, suicide, or hijacking. That finding is really the origin point for the intentionality debate. Someone skilled made that turn.
Okay, let's move into the evidence. The arguments that proponents of these intentional disappearance theories actually use, we'll try to present these fairly as they see them.
It's important to understand their perspective.
So, argument number one. This one is probably the most famous or infamous. It points the finger directly at the captain, Zahory Ahmad Shah.
The home flight simulator.
Yes. The idea that he practiced the route, the deleted flight path found on his simulator.
Proponents of the pilot suicide or mass murder-suicide theory see this as critical. The FBI helped reconstruct this data.
And a leaked U.S. document in 2016 confirmed they found a route on his simulator.
A route that closely matched the projected final flight path, the one ending way out in the SIO.
And the details are chilling, aren't they? This simulation, apparently flown about 5 weeks before the flight,
showed a 777 flying northwest up the Strait of Malacca, just like the real plane did after turning back.
Then turning southeast into the vast emptiness of the southern Indian Ocean, flying until the simulated fuel ran out.
And the final data point they recovered. It showed the plane manually set at a low altitude, around 4,000 feet.
With a slight nose-down pitch.
A 5-degree pitch, yes. For proponents, this looks like practice. Practicing a controlled ditching or crash into the most remote ocean possible.
It seems to provide motive, means, method, a plan practiced by the captain, from diversion to disappearance.
It's a powerful piece of their argument.
Okay, argument number two. This focuses more on the how of the diversion, the skill involved, the calculated evasion.
And this alleged emotional turn.
Right. Proponents argue the flight path, especially after the turnback, wasn't random. It was flown with incredible precision.
Specifically to avoid radar detection. This was pushed heavily by Simon Hardy, the former BA pilot.
What was his technical point exactly?
Hardy claimed the pilot flew deliberately along the flight information region boundary, right on the edge of Malaysian and Thai airspace.
The sort of weaving between them.
Exactly. Dipping in and out. He argued this would confuse military radar operators in both countries. Neither could track it consistently, neither would feel fully responsible for interception because it kept crossing the border.
That suggests deep knowledge of air traffic control procedures and radar limitations. A very deliberate act of stealth.
Precisely. Someone knew exactly what they were doing to stay hidden.
And then Hardy added that emotional layer.
Yes, the Penang flyby. He noted the turn northwest over the Malacca Strait gave a clear view, for a prolonged period, of Captain Shah's home island, Penang.
He suggested the pilot was taking a final look.
A long, emotional look back at home before heading south to his doom. It adds a tragic human element to the technical maneuvers.
And the third major pillar, the geopolitical theory. Diego Garcia, the secret cargo.
This is where the narrative shifts from the pilot acting alone to, well, a third party. A state actor.
The idea being the plane wasn't just crashed, it was taken, diverted under duress, maybe remotely controlled.
And flown to the U.S. base at Diego Garcia. The motive, espionage, pure and simple.
This theory focuses on what was on the plane. The cargo manifest, the passenger list.
Right. Conspiracy sites point to claims the plane carried sensitive cargo. Some say military tech, satellite parts. Others say advanced microchips. Stuff the U.S. definitely wouldn't want reaching China.
And they connect this to the passengers, too.
Yes, proponents highlight the number of skilled engineers on board. Over 35, apparently, in fields like computing, microchip design.
So the argument is the plane itself, or its human cargo, was the target, a seizure of intellectual property or key personnel.
Industrial or military espionage, essentially.
And the proof for Diego Garcia as a destination often comes down to that alleged sighting.
The Maldives sighting, yes. Eyewitnesses on an island called Kuta Huvadu.
They reported seeing a low-flying jumbo jet.
A big plane flying low and loud around 6:15 a.m. Malaysian time on March 8th. They specifically mentioned white with red stripes matching the Malaysia Airlines livery.
And the direction.
Heading roughly north to southeast. Which, proponents argue, is consistent with the flight path towards Diego Garcia, southeast of the Maldives. They claimed they could see the doors, the markings clearly.
So, putting it all together, you have the pilot's alleged practice run, the skillful evasion and emotional farewell, and this grand espionage plot ending at a secret U.S. base.
It's a compelling, multi-layered narrative. It attempts to answer all the questions the official story leaves open.
Okay, now we need to step back and deconstruct these arguments. Because while they sound compelling, how do they hold up against the technical reports, the actual data?
This is where things get complicated and where evidence is often, let's say, presented very selectively.
Let's start with that core piece. The pilot simulator, the supposed smoking gun showing Captain Shaw planned it.
Right. The public hears simulate a route found matching flight path and assumes intent is proven.
But the official investigations were much more cautious, weren't they?
Extremely cautious. And the nuance here is critical. Yes, the deleted SIO simulation route exists. It was recovered from the hard drive. That's confirmed.
But confirming a file exists isn't the same as confirming the pilot practiced that specific flight with nefarious intent?
Exactly. The initial FBI and Malaysian readouts actually said nothing sinister was found. How can they say that if the SIO route was there?
Because of the context.
Precisely. That hard drive was full of flight sim activity. We're talking over 2,700 coordinates recovered. Most were default game locations or just random flights pilots do for fun or practice short hops, landings all over the world.
So the SIO route was just one among many?
One among thousands, basically. And it was dated February 2nd, 2014, 5 weeks before the actual flight.
Okay.
So the final 2018 safety report acknowledged the SIO route file. But crucially, it also stated the forensic analysis found no data showing the simulated plane performing the specific climb, altitude changes, or heading maneuvers that matched MH370's known path after the diversion.
Ah, so they found a destination point, but not the specific complex route being practiced. The evasive maneuvers Hardy talked about.
Correct. The report concluded no unusual activities other than game-related flight simulations. So, while the file is real, investigators downplayed its significance on its own. It wasn't seen as definitive proof of a practice plan, just one destination among many in a game.
That definitely weakens the smoking gun aspect significantly.
It introduces reasonable doubt about its standalone importance.
Okay, what about the more exotic theories? The shoot-down, the Diego Garcia plot?
Let's take the shoot-down first. Popular early on, maybe involving Malaysia or another country shooting it down by mistake, or deliberately then covering it up.
Any factual basis for that?
Very little, actually. A Malaysian defense official explicitly called it highly not possible. Their military radar did track the plane after it turned back.
But they didn't see it as a threat.
No, they designated it friendly. They assumed it was a commercial flight that was lost or having problems, but not hostile. So no order to intercept or shoot down was given before it flew out of their radar range. There's no evidence of engagement.
Right. And the Diego Garcia espionage theory?
Well, the U.S. government denied it almost immediately. Jake Carney, the press secretary, then dismissed it publicly on March 18, 2014.
Okay, but governments deny things. What about harder evidence?
The physical evidence, the debris. This is probably the strongest counter-argument to Diego Garcia.
The flaperon found on Reunion Island? The other pieces found in Africa?
Exactly. Oceanographers, people like Professor Padirachi, did incredibly detailed drift modeling. Where would debris have to start to end up on those beaches, on that timeline?
And the models pointed?
Unambiguously to the southern Indian Ocean, near that seventh arc, calculated from the satellite data. For debris to start near Diego Garcia and drift thousands of miles to Reunion in Africa, following the known currents and timelines, it's considered physically implausible by the experts.
The ocean currents just don't work that way for that starting point and those discovery locations.
Correct. The debris strongly indicates a crash site far, far south of Diego Garcia.
What about the idea of remote hijacking, Boeing's patent for remote control?
Boeing themselves addressed that. They confirmed they have not implemented that patented system or anything like it on commercial planes.
And MH370 was an older plane anyway, right?
Delivered in 2002.
Yeah.
The patent was issued in 2006. There's absolutely no record of such a system being retrofitted onto MH370. The cyber hijack theory lacks any technical basis in reality for that aircraft.
So if we largely rule out external interference like shoot-downs or remote hijacking based on the evidence, we circle back to an intentional act by someone on board and that SIO crash site.
Pretty much.
What's the latest technical analysis telling us about where in the SIO? You mentioned WSPR technology.
Yes, this is really interesting work, driven largely by independent researchers like Richard Godfrey. WSPR stands for Weak Signal Propagation Reporter.
Sounds technical. How does it work for tracking a plane?
Think of the world as being constantly crisscrossed by very stable, low-power radio signals, used mostly by amateur radio hobbyists. They form a global network.
Okay.
When a large metal object like a 777 flies through these signal paths, it disturbs them like a ripple in a pond. It creates tiny but detectable and recordable anomalies in the signal strength or frequency.
And these signals are all time-stamped and have known locations.
Exactly. So Godfrey gathered years of archived WSPR data and looked for these disturbances along the suspected flight path of MH370 after it went dark. He found 186 instances where the WSPR links seemed to be affected by the plane's passage.
So you can use those disturbances to plot the plane's path independently of the satellite data.
Precisely. It provides a potential continuous track, not just hourly handshakes. And the crucial thing, the WSPR-derived path aligns remarkably well with the Inmarsat data, the fuel burn models, and the debris drift analysis.
3 independent lines of evidence pointing to the same area.
That's the argument. It significantly strengthens the case for a specific location.
And where does this consolidated data point?
To a probable crash site, around 33.2 degrees south, 95.3 degrees east. Right along that 7th arc, the final satellite ping radius. This location is now considered the highest probability area by many technical experts involved in the search analysis.
And does this sophisticated analysis reinforce the intentionality, like the work by Belly and Marchand?
It does, indirectly. Blelly and Marchand used different tools, advanced trajectory modeling, satellite compliance checks to reconstruct the flight path that best fit all the known data points, especially the Inmarsat signals.
And their conclusion?
Based purely on making the flight dynamics and satellite data work together, their conclusion was also that the most probable cause was a deliberate, well-planned hijacking by a skilled pilot aiming specifically to make the plane disappear without a trace in that remote part of the SIO. The intentional crash remains the most technically coherent explanation for the known flight path data.
Okay, so we have this convergence. Overwhelming technical evidence, trajectory analysis, debris drift. It all points south to a specific spot, likely caused by a deliberate act. External conspiracies seem debunked by the physics.
That's the picture painted by the data, yes.
Yet, that pilot suicide or murder-suicide theory, it still feels incomplete, doesn't it, to so many people? Why do the other stories, the Diego Garcia, the secret cargo, why are they still so sticky?
I think it boils down to motive, or the lack thereof.
The human brain hates a vacuum, we said that earlier, especially a motivational one.
Exactly. We struggle with randomness, especially random large-scale tragedies. The pilot suicide theory offers the simplest explanation that fits the physical facts Occam's razor, right? It explains the manual turn, the long flight, the silence. One person's intention covers it all.
But psychologically, it doesn't quite fit, does it?
That's the major sticking point. Forensic psychologists point out that this kind of suicide, incredibly elaborate, drawn out over 6 hours, requiring immense technical skill to execute perfectly while potentially incapacitated or fighting off others, is extraordinarily rare. Bordering on absurd, some might say.
Most suicides are impulsive, or at least seek immediacy?
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
The desire is usually to get it over with. This level of complex, prolonged planning and execution just doesn't fit typical suicide profiles well at all. That dissonance, that psychological gap makes people feel something is missing.
A motive, a reason for that specific complex act.
Yes, and that leads us back to the official investigation's findings about Captain Shaw himself.
Which found nothing.
Precisely nothing definitive.
Yeah.
The 2018 safety report was clear. No evidence of mental health issues, psychiatric treatment, anxiety, unusual stress, conflicts. Nothing in his behavior, CCTV footage, or communications suggested he was planning such an act.
So you're left with this impossible choice. believe a pilot with a clean record executed this incredibly complex, horrific act for no discernible reason.
Or believe in a massive, unprecedented technical failure that somehow perfectly mimicked deliberate action, which the manual control finding contradicts.
It's deeply unsatisfying either way.
And that's where the conspiracy theories offer solace, in a strange way.
By providing a clear villain.
Exactly. Theories involving state actors, the U.S. military, secret cargo, they provide a tangible enemy, a powerful structure to blame. For some people, believing that gives them a sense of understanding, even secret knowledge. It imposes order on chaos.
It makes the tragedy meaningful in a dark way, not just random horror.
It means the loss wasn't just pointless. It serves some hidden geopolitical purpose. That narrative can be psychologically more comforting than the awful ambiguity of an unexplained act.
Which brings us to our final thought, something for you, the listener, to mull over. We've talked about this convergence of evidence, the WSPR analysis, the refined Inmarsat data, the debris drift, all pointing to that spot near 33 South, 95 East. Experts seem confident. Private search companies like Ocean Infinity say they're ready to go back on a no-find, no-fee basis even, based on this data.
The technical case for searching that specific area seems stronger than ever.
So here's the question. If the goal is genuinely just closure for the families and preventing future incidents by understanding what happened, why the continued hesitation from governments to fund or fully authorize a new search focused on that specific, highly probable zone?
What could finding the wreckage reveal?
Exactly. What knowledge potentially contained within that black box or the wreckage itself may be confirming the exact sequence of events, maybe revealing the extent of certain nations' surveillance capabilities in that remote ocean back in 2014, what might be considered too sensitive, too damaging for any government to want brought to light.
Is the lack of a search purely financial or logistical, or is there something else at play?
Something to think about. Consider that psychological need for answers versus the potential geopolitical complexities of finding them.
Thank you for joining us for this exploration.
Thank you for joining us on Conspiracy Deconstructed.